First, I just want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. A little bit of background, we at the Fain Signature Group have been holding weekly Zoom calls with our tenants, and we've had a couple where we've expanded it out to the larger community of small business, just to share information and to share resources of people who have information. These are really unprecedented times, as we all know, and so what we've been trying to do is just collaborate with different folks like yourself who maybe have information and places where we can go so that we as business owners can make decisions going forward. And though we don't have all the answers, our call today is not about having all the answers, but it's more, we'd like to say it's more collaborative about sharing information and trying to have a discussion about that. And so we'll let you give your presentation because I know you have some information you want to share on what the governor's new order was. We know that he did modify it a little bit and extend it, kind of what that is and what does it mean. As I've been researching this, I know that he did change it, so not everybody may be aware of what it means. There may be more fear out there. And then we'll have a little discussion about kind of how we go forward over the next couple of days and weeks. I know we can't go too far out into the future because this is a very, very fluid situation we're in. But with that, I would like to welcome to all our attendees, Sandra Watson. She is the current president and CEO of the Arizona Commerce Authority, and she has graciously offered her time today to join us and try to help us understand the situation we're in and maybe give us some ideas of how we can move forward together as a state and together as a group of small businesses. So with that, Sandra, I'll turn it over to you and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brad, and I'm pleased to join you all virtually this morning. As we all know, and you just mentioned it, COVID-19 has caused a truly unprecedented shock to our economy. Under the governor's leadership, the Arizona Commerce Authority has been working to help businesses statewide navigate through this crisis. I think we've been sharing information via website and partner calls, but I'd like to walk you all through some of the actions that has been taken by the governor over the past 6 weeks, and then highlight some of the initiatives that the ACA has been leading and the programs that are available. Before we talk about our future though, and the recovery plan, I wanted to kind of share with you what the Arizona business landscape is like. So briefly, just to give you a sense of the impact that this is having on our state's economy, Arizona is home to more than 595,000 total businesses. Over 485 of those are self-employed individuals. Nearly 110,000 have one or more employees, and of those, 106,000 have less than 500 employees. And that's important because the SBA qualifies a small business as an employer who has 500 or less employees. And as you'll see, and I'm sure you're well aware of all of the programs that have been made available to small businesses. So it's important to note that we've got 106,000 businesses that meet that definition. Before I start talking about some of the loan programs and the assistance programs, which I know some of you have either taken advantage of or have some familiarity on, but I wanted to make sure that we walk through some of the programs. But you know that the governor has taken some policy actions, and just to kind of go through a few of those, the governor Ducey took quick action to aid these small businesses and their workers, issuing a series of important executive orders. Some of them include halting evictions in the state for businesses and individuals that are currently unable to pay rent, allowing all Arizona restaurants to sell alcohol to go, waiving liquor license renewals for 90 days, allowing Arizona restaurants to repackage and sell grocery items that they have on hand, helping licensed professionals in the state stay licensed and deferring state requirements for 6 months, allowing Arizonans to get documents notarized remotely, and providing no-fee permits to food trucks to operate on highway rest areas. There's a number of initiatives that were established and policies that were established by the governor. They're all on our website, as well as the governor's website and the Arizona Together website. So to get a a comprehensive list. The audience can go insert some of those executive orders. As it relates to financial relief programs, and we know how important these programs are to keep our small businesses in business. And I know many of you are aware of them. I'm going to go through some of them because I believe that there's still opportunity out there for businesses who have not applied for some of these programs. Those programs are still available, and we're encouraging all our businesses to apply for these programs. They're providing the much needed relief to keep our businesses open. So the first one, obviously, is the Paycheck Protection Program. It is the most popular program. You've heard about it. It provides 100% federally guaranteed loans to small businesses to pay up to 8 weeks of payroll costs, which includes the benefits, and or to pay for interest on mortgages, rents, and utilities. Businesses with less than 500 employees, including nonprofits, veteran associations, tribals, self-employed, sole proprietary, independent contractors are all eligible. So they've expanded their eligibility, and most businesses are eligible for this program as long as they have 500 or less employees. As you know, the real value of this program is that the loans will be fully forgiven when at least 75% of the forgiven amount is used for payroll costs, and the remainder to pay for interest on mortgage, rent, and utilities. So again, it acts like a grant. So if you're able to use those dollars for those purposes, that loan will be forgiven. Loan payments will also be deferred for 6 months. So if you have a portion of your loan that isn't forgiven, you do have deferred payments for 6 months. There's no collateral or personal guarantees required for this program, and neither the government nor lenders will charge small businesses any fees. The loans can be up to 2.5 times a borrower's average monthly payroll cost, not to exceed 10 million. So you calculate what that average annual or average monthly payroll cost, and then you multiply that by it's a 2.5 times that amount, then that would be roughly what that forgivable piece looks like. In terms of the numbers in Arizona, and I think this is really important, that the very first round of $350 billion closed about a week ago, and Arizona had 19,300 loans approved, which totaled approximately $4.9 billion. So we have almost 20,000 of our small businesses who have received or will be receiving $4.9 billion, which is very significant. Much of that is going to be forgivable, and that will allow these small businesses to retain their employees and to continue to operate. A number of the loans, a number of the approved loans is not a representative of how many small businesses actually applied for the program. As you know, we have 106,000 businesses in this category. So when the program was fully exhausted, Congress was able to replenish that program with an additional $310 billion. And we've seen a number of our applicants start to receive loan approvals as well. What's important to note that there are thousands of applications still pending. So if you have an application in that you're in the queue, and I know that your bank is probably working closely with you to let you know when that loan has been approved. Just to give you a sense, the SBA processed more applications in that 1 week than they had in the past 15 years. So all of the applicants that were submitted in the first round only amounted to about 20% of those businesses receiving funding. Therefore, about 80% were still pending. So the additional dollars that were allocated to that program were very important. But we also had, the SBA also provided specific dollars, 60 billion actually, for smaller banks and CDFIs to help the smaller companies. And so our businesses and our banks are very active in making sure that Arizona is getting our fair share of those dollars. One of the things just to note, the second round, which is the $310 billion. Just to give you an update on what the numbers are as of yesterday. So nationwide, more than 960,000 loans were approved for nearly $90 billion. To break that down, I mentioned the small banks. The small banks were given $30 billion to lend. They have fully exhausted their $30 billion, and now they're eligible to use some of the other funds in some of those larger banks. But the small business banks to date have loaned about 61% of the loan volume, which is great news. That's 587,000 loans representing $43 billion. The average loan size for the small banks were about 73,000 average. The medium banks also had access to about $30 billion, and they approved as of yesterday 206,000 loans representing $25 billion, and their average loan size was about $149,000. And then, of course, the large banks. The large banks did 167,000 loans representing $25 billion, and their average loan size was $149,000. So I would encourage everyone on this call, or if you know of small businesses who have yet to apply, there's still opportunities. And I would work with your banks, whether they're a small bank, medium bank, or large bank, they all have capacity. So please reach out to those banks to see if they're taking new customers. If you don't have a banking relationship with them, there are banks in our state that are taking new customers, and we've got all of that information listed on our website. The other exciting program is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. You've probably heard it as EIDL, and that program is also a very good program for small businesses. And applicants are able to request an emergency advance of $10,000, which does not have to be repaid. Even if your loan application is later denied, that $10,000 does not have to be paid back. And so it's really important that our businesses are taking advantage of that and that financial program. We've got all of this information on our website, but those two programs in particular, I would encourage every small business to access those programs. The EIDL program, in its first round, 460 Arizona companies were approved, totaling almost $100 million worth of loans. So again, extremely important for our businesses to apply for that. And then the emergency advances, that $10,000 in emergency advances, 14,000 businesses were eligible for that and did receive approval for that for $63 billion. So if you start to think about, $63 million. So if you start to think about the amount of money that has been approved for Arizona small businesses, it's very, very significant. And we're closely approaching, we're just over $5 billion for small businesses, just in a very short period of time. SBA has a number of other programs that you should look into. I'm not going to go through all of the details, but all this information is on our website. SBA has their debt relief program. They also have their Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program. So they've been putting a number of funds into all of their funding programs. One is the 7A program. So small businesses are very, very familiar with that particular program. And then their 504 program. Another program that the federal government established, which is also an exciting program that helps mid-sized businesses. It's available for small businesses, but it also helps those mid-sized businesses that weren't eligible for those small business loans. And that is the Main Street New and Expanded Loan Facilities Program. And that one's administered directly by the Fed, not the SBA. And the loans come from private banks with a 4-year term. So it's important that, again, you talk to your banks. They're familiar with all of these programs, and these programs do provide access to funding. Yesterday, they modified the Main Street program, and it's been expanded to help credit flow to small and medium-sized businesses by creating a third loan option, which increased the risk sharing by lenders and borrowers with greater leverage. So these loans are generally backed by the federal government, and the banks are working very closely with them. They also lowered the minimum loan size. So if you're looking at this program a week ago and thought you didn't qualify, or these loan sizes were too large, please review the guidance. It's on our website, but they have lowered the minimum loan size. And so for certain loans to about 500,000, and the maximum loan size for larger companies is up to 200 million. So again, extremely important program, and is now made available for smaller businesses as well. The financial relief plan for employees, as you know, a number of people were unemployed in our state, were laid off, and our preliminary estimates as of last week totaled 473,000 individuals in Arizona filed for unemployment insurance since March 21st. So we have a significant number of people who have been laid off, and it's really important that they're aware of all of the programs that are available for them as individuals. And if you are an employer who unfortunately had to lay people off, please give them some guidance if they don't already yet know that they can be applying for the unemployment insurance under the CARES Act, which will provide an additional $600 per week for an applicant on top of the state benefits. So as you know, in Arizona, we provide up to $240 for people who have been unemployed or recently laid off. This is over and above that. So an individual who can receive the max for Arizona at $240. In addition, they will receive $600. So that's $840 a week, and they'll be able to take advantage of that. We also extended the 26 weeks at the state level to add another 13 weeks. So that's for the up to $240. And that will take unemployment benefits out for 39 weeks for those that have been unemployed. The governor also waived the 1 week waiting period after the employees lost their jobs, so that they would be eligible for unemployment immediately and they could apply for those benefits. So if you have employees that you unfortunately had to lay off, please make sure that they get that kind of information so that they understand what's available to them. I do want to talk a little bit about workforce assistance. We know that as the economy starts, or as we start to re-energize the economy and employers start to bring their employees back, we want to make sure that people are aware that we have some programs here at the state that we're working in conjunction with the Department of Economic Security and the Arizona at Work program to ensure that you're getting the employees and the skilled employees that you need. So keeping Arizonans employed is our top priority. And several industries are experiencing high demand. And so we are working with a number of industries, primarily the grocery stores, the healthcare. Some manufacturers are adding as they pivot to supplying PPE for our hospitals. So there are a number of jobs out there, and we are working to make sure that those individuals that were recently laid off do have employment opportunities. The statewide workforce development team has been heavily engaged and rapidly connecting job seekers with these opportunities. I know you have a very active local workforce board and team in Yavapai, and we're working very, very closely with them. There were 72,000 new jobs posted on the Arizona at Work system between March 17th and April 17th. So there are jobs out there, and they are available. We have placed over 1,000 have been recorded, and we know that that number is much higher because we've been able to work directly with employers and make sure that they're getting the employees that they need. The rapid response team that we have at the ACA, working in conjunction with the Arizona at Work team and the Department of Security, is working with a number of these employers. And if you need our assistance, to ramp back up, please give us a call, and we'd be happy to work with you in making sure that you've got the employees you need. Many of you probably heard that Honeywell stood up a new facility, a new manufacturing facility, and this is an example of an employer in our state that was growing rapidly. They set up a facility to manufacture the N95 masks that were needed for our healthcare professionals. We are able to work with them to help stand up that facility and also work with them to hire 500 new workers. So there are some great examples out there of employers who are hiring. This past week also, you may have seen that we secured a partnership with the global online education provider, Coursera, making Arizona one of the first 3 states in the nation to join a partnership to offer an entire 3,800 course catalog, including professional certificates available for free for unemployed workers. So if you have someone or know someone who is currently unemployed and want to create and establish some upskill opportunities and certifications, they're able to go onto that website. Again, that information is on our website and they will have access to that. We're proud of the partnership that we've had with all the chambers across the country, or across the state, I should say, and the Arizona Office of Tourism to rapidly connect the displaced hospitality workers and the service workers with grocery, healthcare, financial services, and manufacturing jobs. We know that you've all been impacted, and we want to make sure that the opportunities that exist for employment is available to all of you as well. So we've got over 8,000 positions open in these industries alone, and we've been working very, very hard with those that were displaced from the hospitality industry. We also have established a number of counseling programs and webinars and opportunities for small businesses, aside from the financial programs. And so this past week on Monday, we were excited to launch the Small Business Bootcamp and Resource Collective, which began, as I said, on Monday. More than 610 people have participated in the first 3 sessions, and we're happy that that number continues to grow. A program is a daily virtual touch point designed to connect small businesses with subject matter experts and thought leaders from across the state to help these small businesses navigate this current situation and create the strategies that they need to emerge stronger as we begin to re-energize the economy. Our target market for this boot camp is for employers who have less than 20 employees. Although if you have more than 20, you can please join us. It's every morning, Monday to Wednesday at 9 o'clock. The information again is available on our website, and I can send that over to Brad and he can get that information out as well. But it's an important program. Monday through Wednesday, we have programming design. It's a touch point, as I said, every single day for 3 days. And then we have office hours scheduled the same time on Thursdays and Fridays. So we want to make sure that we're accessible to the small business community and that the small business community has the resources they need. So we have worked with our partners statewide. We've got Local First as one of our premier sponsors, as well as many of the chambers that are working with us, and we're sharing content and we're making sure that our small businesses are getting the answers they need. We believe that this will be about a 6-week program. People can come in and out of the program as they'd like, but we will continue to provide much needed information to our small businesses. So please feel free to participate and get the information and the answers you need as you start to grow your companies. We are also very focused on making sure that you have the tools you need as you're filling out some of these applications. We established a paycheck protection program calculator on our website. So if you haven't used the program yet, please go to the website. You can use that calculator to determine what your loan amount might be. Then you take that information and you can go to the bank. So there's a lot of information out there, and we want to make sure that we're providing the resources that the small businesses need in order to access these programs. So we've compiled the list of banks, as I mentioned, the calculators there, all the guidance on all the programs are there, as well as any consulting services. We also have been working very closely with the community, working with all of our partners, our chambers, our city leaders, our economic development leaders, community colleges, universities, nonprofit organizations throughout Arizona, making sure that we're sharing knowledge and we're collaborating on ways to provide relief to companies. We've been compiling all those resources so that they're available. And there's just obviously so much going on, and I know this is getting a little long, but small businesses are so critical to our economy. And we wanted to make sure that we had every resource possible to ensure that they can navigate through this crisis. And we want to make sure that Arizona creates a one-stop for all our small businesses through the Arizona Commerce Authority, so that ultimately you know where those resources are, whether they're at the state level, the federal level, the county level, the local level. We're all working together to make sure that we are bringing programming to these small businesses. Another way that we've been engaged, which was also an opportunity for Arizona, was to help businesses facilitate, or to help businesses, especially in our manufacturing industry, our small to medium-sized manufacturers, actually pivot their manufacturing operations to help provide the much needed PPE, which is the personal protective equipment for our healthcare workers. And we have been working through the manufacturing extension program that we have housed here at the ACA and the Department of Health Services to make sure that we understand what the demand is from the state as well as our hospitals. We're able to take that information, work with our local manufacturers, and help them pivot to producing some of these much needed PPE requests. And so a lot of that has been happening throughout the state. We've been working with small manufacturers throughout the state, rural Arizona, the metro areas, so that we can ensure that our frontline healthcare professionals and our first responders have the necessary PPE that they need. So if any of you are in the manufacturing industry and are interested in working with us, please let us know, and we'll make sure that we connect you with the right resources. We also have established a fund, the Arizona Together AZ Coronavirus Relief Fund. This fund is absolutely critical to help with PPE for our hospitals and healthcare, for our students who are engaged right now in remote learning because the schools are shut down. We want to make sure that our students who don't have access to hardware or the internet access have the equipment they need. So one of the areas of that fund is to ensure that our students have the necessary equipment they need to continue remote learning. The PPE, as I mentioned, is another key component of that fund. And the third is providing the much needed funding for our nonprofits. They're on the ground serving the local community. We want to make sure we're supporting them and the great work that they're doing. And the dollars that we're raising through this fund is also being used to help these nonprofits. Just to name a couple, we've received about $8 million to date in donations, and we continue to see dollars coming in every day. Those dollars are being spread throughout the state. So we're focused on rural Arizona, making sure that our nonprofits in rural Arizona have the much needed resources, as well as the hospitals, of course. The Ivy Foundation provided a very generous donation of $5 million, and they dedicated those funds specifically to PPE. So we're able to use that to secure some N95 masks for our hospitals. We also received donations from ApS, from Wemo, from Mountainside Fitness, from dealerships, Southwest Gas. There's several more significant investments, and we're excited that we'll be able to provide those dollars to those organizations. We have, as you know, and you're experiencing this in your own community, that there is no shortage of requests. We have received over 270 requests for support. And so we are evaluating all those requests, and we hope to be granting some funds to some of these organizations as early as next week. Also, under the governor's leadership, we've launched a mobile hotspot donation drive. And that's in partnership with the superintendent of education and her team to make sure that our students do have access to internet. And so if you are aware of anyone who has mobile hotspots and you'd like to have those donated, please let us know. We'd like to get those out to the students to make sure they can continue learning through this crisis. We've currently purchased, the ACA currently purchased about 200 of those hotspots, and we're working with our private sector partners to collect more donations in that particular area. And of course, the recovery plan. And a couple of things I want to mention before I start to go through what the governor announced on Wednesday, I believe it was. And so we're planning ahead, and we're focused on the economic recovery. And our approach will continue to be strategic, multifaceted, and collaborative. Under the governor's leadership, I'm honored to help spearhead that along with the Arizona Office of Tourism Director, Debbie Johnson. So we're working jointly under the governor's leadership, reaching out to businesses, associations, industry leaders, city leaders to discuss ways in which we can start to gradually open some of the businesses that were impacted from this crisis. As the governor mentioned, public health and safety will be at the forefront of absolutely everything we do here in Arizona. And we will continue to follow the governor's lead, as well as the guidance from Dr. Kara Chris and the Department of Health Services. We've been gathering information from industry and statewide partners for the last 10 days. And really that information is helping us develop our plan moving forward. Ensuring that we consider every angle and understand every need will help us continue to make the most informed, data-driven, and pragmatic decisions possible for our state.